Greetings, my fellow free low sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning the LL3 podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful realms of planet Earth. Today's date is Sunday, September 15th, 2024. This is episode 1771, When Thinking by Itself is a Crime. Before I proceed, you can follow me on multiple social media sites and podcast channels. Just type in Loki Luck number 3, Loki Luck Roman number 3, 3 eyes, or the Loki Luck Roman number 3 podcast. In addition, I just opened up a Steemit account, which is steemit.com, and look up /LL3 hyphen podcast or dash podcast. Okay. I just started out. Give a crack at it. Plus, if you want to contact me on anything, information, comments, criticisms, love letters, all that, whatever you do, please use decorum. Send it to via email, ll3.podcast@proton.me. If you're not doing it, go to PayPal.me or cash.app /Loki Luck number 3. Oh, excuse me. Oh, yeah. So, same old song and dance, battle of free speech, wars everywhere. I saw the ones happening in Kashmir. Now it's in a district called Poonch. That's near Nepal, if I'm correct. That's just one example. And enslavements in Africa, Philippines, with battling China. So it's not just one area or the United States. It's happening. Everyone's putting the finger on something to control. And it's all under this one big global umbrella. Whether it's the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the Club of Rome, etc. I was like browsing around as usual, and I was like seeing some of the articles here from Censor.news. I am a subscriber to Epoch Times also. Observe responsibly. And the expose has a couple good ones here. Chemtrails are crimes against humanity and nature, researchers say. Kuwait to freeze bank accounts of residents who do not register biometric fingerprints. Yes, they are lusting for that technocratic game. So they're going to use Asia and Africa and all that. So there's nothing really new. And sorry, I'm on my phone right now with my microphone. If you heard that bell. Very chilling, right? Like SHTF planned. UK Starmer's Trudeau pressure Biden to escalate with Russia, despite Putin warning of war. Throw their asses in there. See how tough they are, right? Zero hedge. JP Morgan and Bank of America take strides to curb overworked junior banker hours. Saudi central bank caught secretly buying 160 tons of gold in Switzerland. Other New World Order elites plotting to use AI to deprogram so-called conspiracy theorists. They have one here. These are 12 countries adding millionaires at the fastest rate. That's just strange sounds. And yes, they eat cats and probably dogs too. Horrible. And Great Game India, British spies in Russia exposed. So, it's just going on and on. It's just very much a mad world, you could say, right? Trials and tribulations. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. But you want to try to find somewhere that's less dense. Affecting all these big metropolitan communities, big cities, mega cities. It could be graveyards. Doesn't matter where it's at. And you still got folks out there still want to use their kitty-ass rhetoric like they're entitled to everything. They're nothing more than a cancer. You have to avoid them at all cost. Yep. So even LifeSite News here says Kamala's VP pick Tom Walsh promotes research institute tied to disgraced Wuhan lab report. And of course, Our Lady Sorrow still contributes her compassion with the church is Christ's mystical body. You say that. And National Pulse, Supreme Court mail-in ballot ruling delivers blow to Kamala in critical swing state. And right here, Nationalist Party leadership race kicks off with record 9 candidates. 100% fed up. A warning to all Americans, Melania Trump takes aim at FBI over 2022 Mar-a-Lago raid. And I'll be very honest. Like I said, I'm no Trump fawner by any means, but when I see stuff like this, it is very disgraceful. Imagine with how many other people that are not well known, you can say, have been harassed like that. So I always question these things. West Virginia to vote on ballot initiative that would constitutionally prohibit assisted suicide in state. That's News Target. Or as part of the whole what's that? The whole it's related to natural news. Sorry about that. And what's what it says here from 100% Fed Up? Oh yeah, it's a while back. GOP governor signs bill requiring voter ID and proof of U.S. citizenship for first-time voters. Racist. So everyone's going to go ape crap over that, right? Your News, Green Party's Jill Stein secures spot on Georgia ballot, worries Democrats. New York Times quietly edits controversial column linking J.D. Vance to Nazi slogan. And here's from Yours News. Venezuelan authorities arrest 6 foreign nationals in alleged assassination plot against President Maduro. Yep. So IRS, here's another one. IRS whistleblowers sue Hunter, Biden's attorney, for defamation in $20 million lawsuit. Good, get them all. Daily Bell, Cultural Revolution Redux. Southern Poverty Law Center denounced from within for fostering inhumane chaos. Yeah, they've always been horrible. I was never impressed by that Charlton organization anyway. Yeah, I always put them on I remember I had Web TV. I had a file called Quack Groups. They were one of them. Yep, so Information Liberation, FBI puts up billboards in Haitian Creole, encouraging people to report hate crimes in Springfield. What? Reclaim the net. Brazil Supreme Court seizes $3 million from Starlink in retaliation over X's refusal to censor speech. There's always going to be some people in the high-tech geeks, even in Brazil, they always find a way of going around that backdoor plans. They got no control. Lula and his goofballs got no control, all right? Law enforcement today. NYPD officers fatally shoot knife-wielding man who was wanted in connection to 3 murders. Daily Reckoning, sad decline of an American icon. Just News, United Airlines offers free Wi-Fi through Elon Musk's Starlink. Because NTD, residents of Springfield, Ohio, reacts to influx of 20,000 Haitians. And, of course, Pennsylvania Supreme Court rules to disqualify undated, misdated mail-in ballots. I'll make this simple, or a recommendation to people out there. What you need to do, absentee mail-in ballots, because some states got absentee ballots. What you do, take it to the election department of your county. Hand it to them. They should have it in a box right there, ready to go. I've done it multiple times. Instead of taking it in the mail, I went right to the government center where the election department is, and gave it to the clerk. She threw it right in the box, validated, done. So that's one way of countering it, of the mail-in fraud. And of course, Middle Eastern Eye. Israel recruits African refugees for Gaza operations in exchange for settled status. Yeah. Tim Waltz, Mao's missionary. Yeah. One officer dead, multiple injured after Afghan immigrant goes stabbing spree in an anti-Islam event in Germany. There's a report from Breitbart. Most of Michigan's uncommitted won't support Kamala Harris. So there's a photo of a shirt. Biden's legacy equals genocide. So, this nuts here as usual. But it's always good to stay informed the best you can. Try not to rely on all the pundits out there, and make your own judgments. That's what I always tell people in the past: observe responsibly, including this show and stuff I post too. If you got something different, share it, man. That's very cool. That's how we do things. And you still got folks out there that still getting their rocks off over that Kamala Trump debate. They all think Kamala won. It's like, come on. All lives matter, right? You want a dingbat that wants to centralize everything. That's what you want, Americans? I know a lot of you don't. But you have the ones that claim they're experts and they can't even tie their own shoelaces. Well, enough of that. I'm going to do this one article here from allnewspipeline.com. Came out today. When thinking by itself is the crime, then the blank state and totalitarian creep of diversity, equity, and inclusion destroys everything associated with the tyrannical policies. Here's what Mr. Robert Reisberg has to say. The most career-destroying toxic hearsay in today's hypersensitive world is attributing highly valued traits such as intelligence to a person's genes, and then saying that these and other biologically hardwired traits were unevenly distributed across population groups. To say, for an example, that the Chinese disproportionately succeeded academically due to their genes, not unearned privilege, luck, or any other environmental factor, violates this taboo. The opposite is the blank state theory of human nature. Here, everything is environmentally determined, and according to Steven Pinker, the blank slate view of human nature dominates today's intellectual life. Those rejecting this blank slate ideology will be punished regardless of evidence or expertise. James Watson, the Nobel Prize-winning co-discoverer of DNA, was fired from his position and widely execrated for speculating sub-Saharan African economic dysfunction might reflect their lower and genetically determined IQs. Meanwhile, countless scientists anxious to remain employed will twist themselves into knots to avoid even hinting of biological differences across population groups to explain unequal outcomes in educational attainment, crime, health, and elsewhere. In principle, this taboo is entirely amendable to scientific inquiry. We are not in the 15th century where contrarian views on impossible to prove religious dogma such as free will versus determinism might get you burnt at the stake. In fact, thousands of scientists do study the role genes play and publish their findings through nearly all of this research focuses on plants and animals, not humans. Why fear of documenting their impact of genetics on human behavior? Ironically, biological explanations have historically dominated. Victorians frequently explained the criminality of the poor by their defective genes, and while innumeracy among women resulted from their smaller brains. Plausibly, banishing genetic explanations reduce unfair discrimination. So, for example, if women were thought be genetically inclined to be being innumerate, they would be excluded from jobs requiring math, or perhaps viewing negative traits as biologically hardwired is judged offensive or might encourage people from even trying to advance economically. Huge risks exist when misapplying the blank state versus genetic explanations. Between 1928 and 1940, millions of Russian peasants were uprooted from their farms and relocated to collective farms. Soviet leaders, as per the Marxism they practice that presumes total human malleability, believe that the relocated peasants would happily boost Soviet agricultural production thanks to industrialization. The result was disastrous as grain production fell and farmers neglected the collective farms crops and grew what they needed on tiny private plots while selling that surplus to hungry city folk. Livestock production similarly collapsed despite escalating coercion. Russian peasants, by their innate nature, refused to be converted into communists, and millions died of starvation. On the other hand, women were once thought biologically unsuited for business due to their emotional temperament and lack of mental toughness. Today, however, women constitute 43% of all those enrolled in MBA programs and are expected to soon reach parity with males. The question of aligning visions of human nature and goals is an empirical one to be decided by research. Mother Nature took a dim view of the Soviet collectivization, but looked more kindly on American women entering MBA programs. Unfortunately, ideological fanaticism, not scientific evidence, pushes the blank slated, especially on the campus, and the outcome is totalitarian creep. Today's academy, this belief in human malleability takes the form of advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI. It is axiomatic that everyone, regardless of race, gender, or other human traits, has the same potential to excel academically. Unfortunately, reality says otherwise, and despite massive spending and countless remedial programs, schools must still lower their standards to admit blacks and Hispanics. Moreover, this lingering inequality cannot be hidden. Just look at who majors in demanding subjects versus who just scrapes by in gut courses. The gap was made crystal clear when black enrollment suddenly fell after a recent Supreme Court decision largely banned racial preferences in college admissions. What can be done? One option is to confess failure, admit that Mother Nature gave dissimilar populations different abilities, and restore the merit principle. Alas, the blank slate ideology is tenacious, and contemporary college administrators, like past Soviet commissars, often use deception and coercion to create the appearance that everything is going according to plan. As the defunct Soviet Union once fooled millions by claiming to be a workers' paradise, American universities can be brilliant at providing the illusion of success. A particularly common deception is to admit less qualified blacks and Hispanics, but nevertheless assert that they are highly qualified, then further create special programs such as Black Studies for those struggling academically or tolerate inflating grades to boost graduation rates. Then add support services like extra tutoring, segregated housing, and huge DEI or diversity, equity, and inclusion bureaucracies to rescue those overwhelmed academically. A more draconian measure is to eliminate dissent by recruiting only faculty who embrace diversity is our strength mantra, and further insist that all professors, even those in the hard sciences and engineering, sign DEI pledges and submit statements explaining how their course promotes the school's diversity missions. Meanwhile, party line adherents are rewarded with large salaries increases and extra research funding, particularly monarchists. A throwback to deadly wars of religion is to criminalize bad thinking apart from actual behavior. Now, professors who believe that minority students are not academically competitive might be fired for hate. Tellingly, it makes no difference how these hateful professors treat their minority students. Thinking by itself is the crime. The campus orthodoxy is further sustained by refusing to invite non-believers to lecture or disrupting the talks of Joes like Charles Murray, who do manage invitations. Then add speech codes to silence skeptics who might utter hateful statements, e.g., racial preferences are illegal. Student biases response teams that will inform the administration on those probably uttering offensive remarks. If a professor assigns the bell curve, bring him up on charges of creating a hostile-leaning environment that triggers students of color. If the offending professor refuses to cooperate, remove him or her from the classroom under the guise of helping the struggling minority students debilitated by this alleged pseudoscience. Then add Orwellian language to distort reality. Being colorblind is racist, silence is violence, and award academic credit for left-wing political activism. If that is insufficient, require mandatory implicit bias training and compulsory lectures on white privilege. The impact of systemic racism and how they are most innocuous remarks to protect minorities will academically incapacitate them. For professors who run afoul of the woke mob, publicly harass them in ways reminiscent of Chinese Communist struggle sessions. The correct diagnosis for many of the ills plaguing today's college campus is that school functionaries mistakenly embrace the blank slate theory of human nature where everybody is equal intellectually. That this is a demonstrable fantasy hardly matters. In principle, this is the same error that plagued the Soviet Union. In the Soviet Union, however, by the 1980s, reality set in and Marxism collapsed. It is ironic that genetic determinism, the great boogeyman of today's liberals and often falsely associated with Nazism, may in practice deter tyranny by discouraging doomed to fail social engineering. Campus administrators might benefit from a mandatory course called Failed Social Engineering. The wisdom of the Roman lyric poet Horace, he was born from 65 BC to 8 BC, is worth heeding. You might throw out nature with a pitchfork, but she keeps on coming back. We can only wonder when today's universities will face this reality. No arguments here, folks. Mind control 101, right? Always gotta learn to go further. They teach you something, enhance it, go further. Even my ages in public schools, I never relied on them, leave all my education eggs to the teachers, the administration, etc. I will say the teachers are the ones in the middle folks, all right? They get crapped on by both sides. It's nothing new. But many of them, a good amount of them, had their issues. They became unmerited. But the fact is, they're just human beings too. Always go further than what they tell you and expand yourself. Even hit the libraries. I did that. I never relied on the school system to teach me. It doesn't matter if it's public or private. It's basic. You always got to enhance yourself. That's what merits are about. When government knows best, it turns to crap. And now you hear some of these dingleberries out there want to centralize everything. Let the federal government take care of it. That's not more than a landmine waiting to get stepped on, metaphorically speaking. But so always recommend that, folks. Expand yourselves. If they get offended, who the hell cares? No victim, no crime. If you want to read something that's a little bit, subversified, doesn't mean you have to believe everything what they say. But the fact is, learn to contemplate further, know your skills. The more you know, the better, and you're never going to stop learning. No more of this, whether race, color, or creed. Yeah, there's certain areas of the world, their intelligence is different from ours. This is how it is. But you don't just throw them in the bodies of places, try to dumb down it, the communities. Always learn to better yourselves. I'm not saying it's easy. Even yours truly go through his obstacles too. But be thankful for living. And when you learn something, cherish it, whether it's good or bad. All right. Well, that is it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, etc., whatever you do, please use the quorum. You can contact me via email to ll3.podcast@proton.me. If you want to donate, go to paypal.me or cash.app/look3. You can hit Steam it. All right, steamit.com. Just look up LL3-podcast or -podcast. All right, and I will leave the article of this episode on my page so you can read for yourself and make your own decisions. All right. Once again, thank you for your time. But always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Till next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love. And may your guardian spirits be with you.